Throughout the past year of TheInformer, we've reached out and grabbed and found the opportunities to speak to a number of contributors, people from all walks of life, and one of them who's been a regular is Ryan Smith, who's the member for Warrandyte. Member for Warrandyte, yes, but you were also the shadow minister for a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah.
What's happened?
Well, there has been, as anyone who hasn't been hiding under a rock knows, some speculation, some commentary about the state Liberal team's leadership over the last 6 months or so.
We're talking about the Victorian Liberal Party.
That's right.
And the current opposition. And there was a bit of a skirmish the other day.
Yeah.
And we're talking now to all those viewers who don't readily know the Victorian political scene, where the government currently is the Labor Party run by Daniel Andrews, who of course is currently on the bench, injured, and the Premier, who is currently in the chair, is the man known as James Merlino.
Yes.
Who ordinarily would be the Minister for everything else.
Yes, that's right. Well, I think there's been some frustration that's been communicated to members of the opposition that despite the government's many policy failures that have resulted in over 800 deaths, that our message in opposition isn't cutting through. With all the speculation going on, myself, some others in my party room decided to give the party room a choice about leadership. The choice was made.
Hang on. You put yourselves up as an alternative leadership team.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you do that by doing some homework and checking to see if you have the numbers? It's all well and good to spoil, but you've got to win too, haven't you?
No, look, I wouldn't like to label myself or my colleagues as spoilers. I mean, there's been leaking going on that hasn't been from the group that I'm associated with. Right. We spoke to members of the team. We spoke, in fact, to Michael O'Brien, our current leader, as well.
What was Michael's response?
Look, I think he was obviously disappointed, but he does know that myself and others have been putting forward suggestions over many months about how we might adjust our fortunes, may I say, opportunities through the media, opportunities through social media. And I think that what happened, what culminated in the motion to change our leadership was a result of increasing frustration amongst our membership, our Liberal Party broader membership, that the message still wasn't cutting through.
What's the constituency saying? You're the member for Warrandyte. What are the people in your neck of the woods been saying? Have they been coming to you and saying, got to change this government, we can't handle this? Or, no, you'll have to wait your turn because they're doing a great job.
No,
what have you heard?
I've had enormous amounts of feedback, and I politicians will say that. But I've been at a couple of local markets. I had a stall there for 5 or 6 hours at a time. Lots of people have come up and said, look, they really are annoyed at Daniel Andrews. They're angry. They're frustrated. They've been just looking at the policy failures and have just been so appalled. But they're equally as appalled that we don't seem to be, as an opposition, getting out there and prosecuting the case well enough. So the feedback is that the opposition does need to do better.
Do we have an ombudsman for oversight in Victoria?
There is an ombudsman, yes.
For oversight?
Just in general terms.
Because New South Wales has just issued a report, and it's blindingly amazing what the people of New South Wales have not been privy to or not been allowed to do.
Yeah.
Do people know that we have an ombudsman for oversight who watches and indeed takes in their purview the things that the Victorian citizens have been deprived from having access to, and that is their rights?
I think between the Ombudsman and the Auditor General and our Anti-Corruption Commission, all of these different bodies have the opportunity to look at different things. The Ombudsman looked at the red shirt scandal that we had here in Victoria, where the government took public money for campaigning purposes.
What happened?
Well, they make recommendations, and unfortunately, many times the government of the day doesn't get prosecuted.
Recommendations are fine, and it's a bit like policing. Unless you're prepared to police, and unless you're prepared to fine someone or punish them, recommendations mean nothing.
Well,
it's like for example, at council level. If I've bought a property and they say to me, no, you can't do improvements on that site because the council cityscape suggests that's not going to happen, and you go ahead and do it. Now, some of the people now are finding out to their cost that there is a big stick being wielded. Are we seeing anything like that
Nothing
at state level?
And in fact,
and if not, why not?
The oversight bodies will actually tell you they've been on the public record many times that the government is now underfunding them, so they can't conduct the investigations.
So the minute you make some noise, we slowly pull that down.
That's right.
Okay, so we've got a Royal Commission though for the Crown Casino. Still no word about a Royal Commission into the 800 plus
which
deaths
is incredibly
during
frustrating.
COVID.
Incredibly frustrating. We had a Royal Commission for 173 deaths over Black Saturday. The fact that the government's not putting itself forward, not funding a Royal Commission to look at the policy failures, the reasons for those deaths, the reasons for literally tens of thousands of transmissions, literally thousands of businesses going to the wall, is just incredible, and it should be something the public's demanding. We in opposition said that we'll deliver one if we're to win government in 2022.
All right.
But until then, the government seems to get off the hook.
Let's go back to your recent attempt to make a play at the leadership of the opposition. Now, okay, you've been banished to the backbench, or you were asked to step down from your shadow portfolios. Does that mean you're banished, or does it mean that you have to basically, you no longer have responsibility for that subject, and you basically keep your mouth shut?
Look, I think it's two things that's happened. The broader one is that it's given us the opportunity, because of the events of a couple of weeks ago, to have a discussion about how we're putting our message forward, who we're giving it to.
Okay.
If people in the growth corridors, such as that southeastern area through Casey and Cardinia, or over in the west, in the Wyndham area, if they're not listening to us, no matter how compelling our message might be, no matter the extent of the policy failures of the government, we need to readjust. And I think these events have caused us to have a think about how our leadership and the broader party membership needs to be talking about the really pertinent issues to the public.
Are there others within the party who are prepared to put their hand up? I mean, you guys didn't, you've come up second best, and you've had to give up your portfolios. Matthew Guy said very early on he didn't want a bar of this. This is a former leader of the Liberal Party. There were others who said no, it's ill-timed. What do you have to say to all of them?
Well, I think it's clear, although it was a secret ballot with the leadership, I'm fairly sure that Matthew backed Michael, which is fine. I mean, Michael had roughly two-thirds of the support, and I find myself in a position where I'm supportive as well, because the majority spoke. We live in it. Well, our party certainly embraces democracy, and getting behind Michael now is what the party room wants to do, and what the party room wants me to do. So that's what I'll do. But that doesn't mean that I haven't got a voice in the party room. It doesn't mean that I'm not equally passionate about representing my constituents in my area, and it doesn't mean that I'm not doing work on policy that I think is important for our recovery, for the betterment of Victoria. So I'm spending a lot of my time, even though I'm on the backbench, even though I'm not the official party spokesperson on certain portfolio areas, I'm still having a lot of my time, which I'm happy to use to put policy together in terms of industry, in terms of manufacturing, to aid the recovery of Victoria's economy post-COVID.
Those sentiments sound a bit like what Paul Keating gave me when I talked to him a number of years ago, when he stepped into the backbench, and it was only biding his time until he put up his hand and won as the Prime Minister at that time, or the leader of the party at that time. Is there going to be another pitch? Is there going to be another play?
Not as far as I'm aware. I think, as I said, it's one of the reasons that the leadership option was put forward was to put a line in the sand, to quell the rumblings, to quell the leaks.
Have you lit a fire though under Michael?
Say again?
Have you lit a fire under Michael O'Brien?
I hope so. I hope that, that's what as I said before, I think that it's given us the opportunity to reconsider how we're talking to our community, being broader Victoria, about these really pertinent issues. I hope that he's taken a second look at things, the way he's operating, and I really want to get behind him. I want him to be as good as he can be. I want our team to be as good as they can be, more broadly, united, getting our message out, appealing to people. But more than all of that, George, I want to inspire Victorians, to show them that it can be their way of life. All of the trials and tribulations that they've endured over the past 12 months, which Daniel Andrews is really shrouded in doom and gloom. I want us to talk about aspiration and optimism and inspiration. That's what's going to grab the people of Victoria. So if we're able to do that over the next 18 months towards the November 2022 election, then we'll win people's hearts and minds, and that's what I want to see from my leader.
And the attempt to spill would have been well played.
Indeed. If that's the outcome that we get, then that's a good result.
Okay. Ryan Smith, the member for Warrandyte, no longer Minister in the shadow cabinet, but he certainly is still very much driven to improve his constituency's life and also that of the Liberal Party in Victoria.